And we're back here with some singles competition for you and our main event for the evening. It is Scott Slade taking on the Monarch, Jeremy Wyatt.
Introducing to you right now from Las Vegas, Nevada, weighing 335 pounds, Scott
Slade is a guy that we don't know very much about. He kind of keeps his, who he is and what he's about very, very close to the best. I think he's hiding something, if you ask me. Anybody that doesn't come right out and say where they're from, who they are, what they're doing here, I don't trust this.
Scott Slade is definitely an international man of mystery. That might work in his favor. It looks like he's got something to say here.
Scott Slade needs to talk to the people of Kansas City right now. See, the people of Kansas City, you've always been hard-working, don't cut corners type of people. That's what Scott Slade likes about y'all. That brings me to the topic at hand. Jeremy Wyatt. This guy is out here. He could be talented, but instead, he's running his little circus novelty sideshow act, complete with the ringmaster, Michael Strider, reaching a new low every week. Well, I'm telling you, Scott Slade is telling you, one time, you come out here and you fight someone one-on-one. You fight Scott Slade like a man. And if you don't, that's why Scott Slade has two hands for both you sideshow clowns.
Some strong words from the newcomer, Scott Slade, and the Monarch, Jeremy Wyatt, may have something to say about that.
Scott Slade, did you watch what just happened to Ontario? Do you want some of that? Is that a smart move from Scott Slade? I don't think it is at all. Circus sucks. I can't believe it.
And now introducing the opponent from Kansas City, Missouri, weighing 193 pounds, accompanied by Michael Strider.
Monarch, Jeremy Wyatt's face,
Ladies and gentlemen,
by the
introducing
devil
the
himself,
Monarch,
Michael
Jeremy
Strider. And after what we just
Wyatt.
saw with them interjecting into Ontario's business, once again, I think Major Mason needs to take a look at these two and suspend them both and get them out of here.
Major Mason is part of the problem in that whole situation. Stipulations on Michael Strider and Jeremy Wyatt that are unnecessary, that he wouldn't have to do to anybody else, but he chose to do it to those two gentlemen. Now he is having to deal with the consequences of trying to deal with Michael Strider and Jeremy Wyatt. It's very, very smart.
Look at him patting Don Diablo on the face. This Michael Strider is unbelievable. Every chance he gets to get involved, he always comes out with that equalizer, that steel chair of his. This guy, I cannot stand this guy. Ever since he's made his way into the NWL, he has wreaked havoc wherever he goes, and I think he just needs to go away. And I think you would see Jeremy Wyatt win a lot less here in the National Wrestling League if that man wasn't on the outside with him.
Absolutely untrue. Jeremy Wyatt, a very, very talented wrestler in his own right. He doesn't need Michael Strider, but he pays him for advice. He pays him to be in his corner, and he pays him to make sure that things are done a certain way. And Michael Strider is a fantastic agent. If you're going to pay somebody to be in your corner, you're going to make sure that that person does whatever it takes, and that's what Michael Strider does. That's what winners do, and that's the problem that you have with Michael Strider and Jeremy Wyatt, is that they're winners, and you've never been a winner in your entire life, and that bothers you, doesn't it? And it bothers Major Baisden, too.
Collar and elbow tie-up, and we are underway here tonight in our main event for the evening. Scott Slade and Jeremy Wyatt. Scott Slade, the last time he was here in the Scottish Rite Temple, took on Dak Draper and took him to the limit. and unfortunately came up just a little short in that matchup. But I'm looking for big things from Scott Slade here tonight, especially against the Monarch, Jeremy Wyatt.
We don't know a lot about Scott Slade, but the things that we do know is that this guy is very, very talented in the ring. He's in fantastic shape, very, very strong, agile, very talented amateur background. You can tell that in everything that he does. So, yeah, I expect big things from Scott Slade as well, but maybe not tonight because he's in there with a real pro, a man's man, the Monarch, the king of Kansas City, the king of Kansas City, Jeremy Wyatt.
Can't believe you just called Jeremy Wyatt the king of Kansas City.
Well, why wouldn't I call him that?
It's
and when he wins the tournament, he will, when he eventually gets a title shot, which he should because he's robbed in the tournament, he will become the king of Kansas City. It's all right. If you had any brains, you would know that having Jeremy Wyatt as our champion is good for you. It's good for me. It's good for the concessions lady. It's good for everybody. But no, you want to, I don't know, you want to cheer for Wayne Meeks or somebody like that.
Look at Michael Strider. He must have heard what you were just saying. He's almost applauding as if he agrees with all the sentiments you just said, that Jeremy Wyatt is the king of Kansas City. I hope Scott Slade takes it to him tonight. Shoulder block takedown right in the center of the ring. Scott Slade in incredible shape. Again, we don't know much about this guy, but what we do know is he has taken it to everybody he's been in competition with here in the National Wrestling League. Hard arm drag takedown there by Scott Slade.
I will give Scott Slade credit for this. If you're going to go in somewhere and you're going to make some noise, who do you do it with? You do it against the top guys in the area. He's already faced Dak Draper. Now he's facing Jeremy Wyatt. Arguably 1 and 2, and you can put those in either order of top guys around here. So certainly he's no stranger to getting the job done and facing top competition.
Another arm drag takedown by Scott Slade. I love the way he executes these arm drags. They're almost like judo throws.
Fantastic judo throws. You can tell that in a lot of the things that he does, he has a judo background. Maybe he's studied overseas. Seems to be very, very possible.
You never know with this international man of mystery, Scott Slade. It's got to be hard for Jeremy Wyatt to prepare for somebody like Scott Slade, who he knows he was facing Scott Slade tonight, but there's not a lot of videotape on this guy. Going for a roll-up here, gets a 2 count.
One of the things about being a real pro is that you don't necessarily have to prepare for anybody specifically. You just keep yourself prepared, and that's exactly what Jeremy Wyatt does. He tries to make his game plan go ahead, and if he needs a little help from Michael Strider, well, I think that's just fine.
Scott Slade cinching Jeremy Wyatt in a waist lock, wrapping those incredibly big arms around Jeremy Wyatt. Jeremy Wyatt finding a way out of it. Goes for a right hand. Scott Slade meets him with a boot right to the midsection. Could be setting him up for a suplex here. Jeremy Wyatt wisely drops to his knee so he can't lift him. Wow. Oh my God, deadlifts him right off the canvas. Incredible show of strength by Scott Slade. Holding him up there, letting him think about it, tries him right in the center of the ring. Nicely executed by this man of mystery, Scott Slade.
Wow, all the way over the top rope.
And we'll be right back here on the National Wrestling League. And we're back here in the Scottish Rite Temple, downtown Kansas City. Jeremy Wyatt and Scott Slade in our main event here tonight. And Jeremy Wyatt roughly chops Scott Slade right across the chest.
One thing that I've always said about Jeremy Wyatt, he is very, very effective. There's no wasted motion. Everything that he does for a reason. He puts everything into it.
Hard shoulders block right to the midsection by Jeremy Wyatt. Jeremy Wyatt, in every match that I've seen of his in the National Wrestling League, he seems to be almost one step ahead of his opponents. This guy's mind is all about professional wrestling. I just don't believe he can secure as many victories without the devil Michael Strider on his side. Going for a 2 here.
You keep calling Michael Strider the devil. What proof do you have that Michael Strider is the devil?
Because he sticks his nose in. He's
always.
always.
So does Blaine Meeks, and you don't seem to think mine.
Blaine
So
Meeks
did Red Cloud. So did all
difference-
sorts of folks stick their nose in where it doesn't belong around here. But they're not the devil. Only Michael Strider. You're a hypocrite.
The difference is Blaine Meeks sticks up for what's right, and Michael Strider assists Jeremy Wyatt in robbery, in extortion, in muggings and beatings, whatever nefarious activities these two are engaging in. That's the difference between somebody like Blaine Meeks and Michael Strider.
Sometimes you got to ruffle a few feathers for the good of everyone, and I think that's what Michael Strider.
Going for a roll-up here.
Just had him.
Back to the action, hot and heavy here at the Scottish Rite Temple. Reverse elbow connects with the chest of Scott Slade. Scott Slade is reeling right now from this onslaught of Jeremy Wyatt.
I don't think either one of these men expected this to be an easy match. I think they both knew that both guys have a lot of gas in the tank, very, very knowledgeable competitors as well. I think they both knew they were in for a long night, but I just don't think they knew that it was going to be this long.
Headbutt to the back by Jeremy Wyatt. Jeremy Wyatt's going to look to soften up the neck and the back and the shoulders of Scott Slade because he wants to hit that coronation pile driver and send a message to everybody that he's back on the winning ways, especially being someone like Scott Slade would be a nice feather in the cap for Jeremy Wyatt.
Absolutely. Wyatt's had a little issues with Thortario as of late. He is sort of back on the winning track, and it's going to only help him when it comes to whenever we crown our next champion. Jeremy Wyatt wants to be the first guy in line for that.
That's absolutely true. Jeremy Wyatt again working over the ribs and the back of Scott Slade. He's going to have to put in a lot of work. This man, Scott Slade, is highly muscled. Look at him grinding his elbow into the lower rib cage of Scott Slade after he's hooked in that abdominal stretch. That's extraordinarily painful here on one Scott Slade.
Now, a normal competitor would just keep him in that abdominal stretch and just sort of ride it out, right? Try to keep it going. But Wyatt adding insult to injury there. And if you can see, he has now locked his hands behind his back, adding more pressure. Scott Slade reversal.
He's rolling him up here. 1, 2. Almost got him in a 3 count there. Nice pin executed by Scott Slade. Scott Slade going for a full Nelson slam. Wyatt fighting his way out of it here. Oh, exploder suplex drives Jeremy Wyatt into the mat.
Suplex him out of his boots on that one. That was very, very powerful. Both men down. Like I said, long night for both folks.
Scott Slade looking to pick up his first victory here, and what a victory that would be against somebody like the Monarch Jeremy Wyatt as he fights up to a full base with right hands and chops to the Monarch.
Scott Slade arriving a little late on the scene to be in that championship tournament, so he wasn't even in the tournament, but looking to maybe secure a spot for a title shot down the line. A win over Jeremy Wyatt certainly gets that, in my opinion.
For all you wonderful fans at home, want to check out the latest brackets, latest standings of all the wrestlers here in the National Wrestling League, you can go to NWLeague.com or you can go to FightKC.com. Nice hard clothesline by Scott Slade to get all the information that you need on the National Wrestling League.
That's right. It's a fantastic website. Anything you need to know. You can also buy some of the fantastic merchandise that we have there as well. Maybe get yourself a Michael Strider's t-shirt.
I hope we don't have a Michael Strider t-shirt.
Well, I hope we do.
Scott Slade hooking him in. I didn't know what he was going for there. Gets a hard headbutt to the midsection. Jeremy Wyatt picks him up. Impressive strength display. Drives him down to the center of the ring. Wow, Jeremy Wyatt. Wow, Jeremy Wyatt showing incredible athleticism there. Skins the cat to get up to the top rope. Looks like he's going to go for that elbow. Drives it into the chest of Scott Slade. This could be it. 1, 2, almost a 3 count. Scott Slade gets the right shoulder up just in the nick of time, and Jeremy Wyatt looks like he thought that was it too.
Definitely, he has put away so many competitors with that big elbow drop. Scott Slade, he's hurting, but he's still in this.
What a main event here tonight in the Scottish Rite Temple. Scott Slade and Jeremy Wyatt going toe-to-toe here. Looks like he could be going for the coronation. That coronation pile driver's put everybody away, and Scott Slade reverses it, tries to dump him on the apron, and drills him hard with a DDT. This could be it. Scott Slade going for the cover too. Almost a 3 count. Jeremy Wyatt barely kicking out after being drilled by that DDT. Again, monitoring his heart rate, making sure he's still in his perfect zone here. He's not getting to. Oh, look at this, Michael Strider distracting the referee. What is he doing? Thortario just came from the back and just laid out Michael Strider with that chair.
An unprovoked attack right there.
Unprovoked, give me a break. That's a receipt. That's a receipt from Michael Strider. And look, Thortario's getting involved. The referee calling for the bell.
Thor and Scott Slade are beating up on Jeremy Wyatt. This is a plan all along by Scott Slade, isn't it?
No, it's not. Scott Slade, he's asking Thor, like, what did you do? I had the victory in hand. And Jeremy Wyatt and Scott Slade and Thortario are all getting mixed up here. He looked like he was going for the coronation.
No,
Thortario fights his way out of it. This match is over. This match is a DQ. And Jeremy Wyatt getting out of the way of Thortario, and Thortario in hot pursuit. And we're out of time, folks. We'll see you next week.